heart.
The power of the heart. Finding your inner wisdom.
The power of the heart.
Finding the power of the
Finding the
heart.
power of the heart.
The power of the
Power
heart.
of the heart. Power of the heart.
让我们寻回新的力量。The
Power of the heart.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Yuru Chao. You are tuning in to the Power of the Heart on Dai Radio. A reference in the Lotus Sutra says that encountering a Buddha's teaching is as rare as an one-eyed turtle finding a floating sandalwood with a hollow in it to hold him. The same image has been used in other sutra to express the rarity of being born as human being and encountering a Buddha's teaching. The story behind this reference is the parable of the blind turtle. A blind turtle, whose life is immeasurable, lives at the bottom of the sea. Once every 100 years, he rises to the surface. There is only one log floating in the sea with a suitable hole in it. Since the turtle is blind and the log is tossed about by the wind and waves, the likelihood of this turtle reaching the log is extremely remote. The ability to surface only once every 100 years indicates how difficult it is to be born human, especially to be born in an age when the Buddha has been present. As human beings, one should use the opportunity to master the Four Noble Truths and attain enlightenment. That is the purpose of this parable. When we make good use of each moment positively and happily, we become living bodhisattvas. Wise men treat time like diamonds, and we know who will treat time like dirt. That is not so wise man. In our program today, we'll begin with a reading of Dharma Master Cheng Yen's teaching on life economics about diamond or dirt. This reading is provided by Mr. Colin Legerton. Then, after a short break, we'll discuss this teaching with Mr. Leslie Pierre.
You are listening to The Power of the Heart on Dai Radio. Tapping into the power of the heart. Finding your inner wisdom. Finding the power of the heart.
Chapter 2. Time Flies, Time Crawls. When we cannot let go of the things troubling our minds, we feel that time passes slowly and unbearably. But when we are happy and joyful, time seems to pass quickly. Therefore, we should train ourselves to maintain a healthy and positive attitude in our daily lives. This kind of attitude will help us deal with undesirable situations. Even when we are facing unavoidable illness, the pain will pass quickly if we accept the illness with gratitude and respect towards life. Time is ticking away. If we can make the best use of every second while stepping firmly and steadily forward, then we will be able to accomplish much every day. On the other hand, if we do not take good care of our minds, we may succumb to incorrect thoughts and lose our direction at any moment. As a result, negative karma will be created, and we may be born as lower creatures in our next life. It is said that once you lose your human form, it will take eons to be reborn as human again. Section 1. Diamond or Dirt. Life is short. It lasts only a few decades. Why then do we hurry through life? What's the rush? Are we moving towards suffering and karmic obstructions, or moving toward a bright realm filled with love and vigor? Time treats everyone equally, yet each individual's feeling about time is different. It all depends on how we use each moment, starting from the time we open our eyes in the early morning. When we make good use of each moment positively and happily, we become living bodhisattvas. When we use time inappropriately, however, we may destroy our beautiful earth and do harm to others as well as to ourselves. Spend time where it counts. I often say that a wise man treats time like diamonds, while a fool treats time like dirt. In general, diamonds are considered precious and valuable, so they are a metaphor for value and importance. But the value of diamonds cannot really be compared to the preciousness of time. What can diamonds do for us? Time, on the other hand, allows us to expand our wisdom life, which is not only important to our current life, but also affects our future lives. If we cherish time and contribute to society, then we are truly living. On the other hand, if we fail to use time properly and instead merely pursue a living and fight for our own benefits, then we are no different than an animal or insect. To live a human life, we must be sensible, understanding, and know how to contribute to society. Only then will we be living a life worthy of a human. Each of us should have aspirations and diligently work towards them. In this way, we can live a meaningful life. But achieving our goals requires time and hard work. Often, we hear successful people say, "If only there were 48 hours in a day." Clearly, success does require time and hard work. Although we do develop plans to fulfill our dreams, we often let time pass us by due to a feeling in a single moment. Imagine that on a cold winter day we feel warm and cozy in bed. It is a struggle to get up. In this instance, we are the ones wasting our own precious time. No one hinders us, but we keep ourselves in delusion. Therefore, we are our own worst enemies. It is important for us to pull ourselves out of delusion. If we linger in the eddy of laziness, we simply fritter away our time. I read a news report about a group of students who initiated a study retreat during the New Year's holiday. They asked a teacher to supervise and guide their schoolwork. 5 days later, when their study came to an end, a reporter asked them, "Everyone else relaxed and had fun over the holiday, yet you focused on your studies. How do you feel about that?" One student replied, "Messing around during our vacation is a waste of time. We used our time to enrich our knowledge, so we actually gained 5 days. This kind of child truly knows how to cherish time." There were also some parents who took their children sightseeing. The reporter asked one of the children, "Tomorrow you'll be back in school. Are you happy?" The child answered, "No, I still have many places to visit. I wish the winter break were 2 months long. I don't like going back to school." Both are students. Some prefer to enrich themselves, and others would rather play around and waste time. Our lives demand that we develop a concept of managing time. Rather than idling time away, we should apply every moment to our family and to society. Take this elderly lady who lives in Taipei, for instance. Her children are filial and pious, and wanted her to travel overseas as their gift to her on her 60th birthday. She said to them, "I am pleased that you are filial, but I prefer not to travel. Just give the money to me. I will donate it to Master Zhengyan." Her son continued to urge her, "Go on the trip. Everyone likes traveling abroad. You can always do good deeds later." The elderly lady replied wisely, "You are encouraging me to travel abroad to make me happy, and your good intentions indeed have made me happy. But I will be even happier if I can help Tzu Chi do good deeds." She donated the money to Tzu Chi and said to me, "Master, I am so grateful to walk the Tzu Chi path and have the opportunity to cultivate fields of blessing. I am also pleased that my filial children want me to travel overseas. Nonetheless, I still find that helping you build a hospital truly makes me happy." The elderly lady truly understood how to use time and money, and wisely inferred what would allow her to achieve true happiness. If she had taken the trip, her happiness would have only lasted 10 days, and she would have been exhausted after the arduous travel. On the other hand, after the hospital is built, it will save many lives, and the hospital itself will last many decades or even a century. By taking the 10 days saved for the trip and using the time to do charity work, she found true enjoyment through contributing and interacting with others. We need to apply ourselves in the moments we are most needed. Some have asked me, what is the value of life? How do we measure it? I reply, we cannot measure the value of life. It cannot be compared to that of money. In fact, life is priceless. The important thing is to use life appropriately so that it has value. We are happy to talk about birth, yet we are sometimes terrified to talk about death. Even some fragile elders on the verge of dying are still frightened and cannot accept the reality of death. Therefore, penetrating the truth of life has nothing to do with one's age. It is not important how long or how short we live. Confucius said, "If I learn the truth of life at dawn, I can die with no regrets at dusk." If we hear words of truth and apply them in our lives, then we can die without regret. With this in mind, there is no need for us to be concerned about the length of our life. The key is for us to understand the right way to deal with people and matters, and then apply it in our lives. Labor and leisure. Nowadays, we have more and more vacation time. This leads to many problems. For instance, many people may become bored by too much leisure time. They indulge in a lavish lifestyle and drink excessively. Consequently, they may cause accidents by driving drunk, get into trouble, or disturb the community for no reason. There is a saying, idle men have no joy, busy men have no trouble. When we are busy, we have no time to cause trouble or become involved in disputes. Ordinary people often pursue a leisurely life. But would we be happy merely eating and doing nothing all day long? We travel around to sightsee, but will those beautiful scenes stay in our minds forever? No matter how majestic the landscape is, we cannot take it home. After the trip, we still face the same afflictions as before. What sort of happiness is this? Instead, if we genuinely dedicate ourselves to seizing each moment and helping the needy, then we will indeed have become living bodhisattvas. As living bodhisattvas, our minds and hearts will always be joyful and at ease at all times. One day, when I was watching Da'ai News, I saw a reporter interviewing an old woman at a recycling center. This old woman had had a rough life. Even at her old age, she still had many challenges to overcome every day. The reporter asked her, "Don't you feel distressed by the many hardships you face?" The old woman replied, "If I want to worry, I'll worry about meaningful things that can be resolved. Why should I worry about things that are meaningless and can't be resolved?" She is truly wise. Most current social problems come from our inability to achieve inner harmony. So how do we keep our minds and hearts at peace? If we keep ourselves busy by doing more good deeds, then we will have no time for afflictions and disputes. If we can take the care we give to our own family and extend that to all of society, then our minds and our views will be broadened. Witnessing the difficulties of others, we should reflect on our own lives and feel content. Thus, we will find balance for our minds, bodies, and emotions. Those who are always doing good deeds can use their love and compassion to keep their emotions in balance. When they face impermanence, they can remind themselves to use their own willpower and courage to control their emotions so as not to commit foolish and regrettable acts. In other words, seizing every moment to do good deeds is like building an immune system for the mind so that our minds will not be adversely influenced by a struggling economy nor be infected by mental afflictions. If we take hold of time to discipline and cultivate our minds and bodies, our lives will be happy and blessed. Mrs. Lee has a strong, rigid personality. Her husband was in the military, so he was away from home most of the time. When she was younger, she had to raise the children all by herself. She handled all household matters alone, so she became very tough. Then, many years ago, she suffered a stroke and was partially paralyzed. This strong and independent person suddenly could not move about freely. How could she cope with this cruel reality? She developed a short temper and easily lost control of her emotions. Her relatives, friends, and neighbors stayed away from her. When her father passed away, Tzuji volunteers chanted the Buddha's name at his funeral service. The volunteers approached her, got to know her, and brought her to visit the Jingsi abode in Hualien. By taking my advice and watching Da'ai TV, she decided to become a Tzuji volunteer. She told everyone that watching Da'ai TV was rehabilitation for her mind, and that doing volunteer work was physical therapy. She realized that, as a Tzu Chi volunteer, she could no longer lose her temper or yell at others. Although she could not move around freely, she still walked with her cane through streets and alleys to collect recyclables, and paid no attention to the peculiar looks she got from others. She even went to the market to ask store owners for their used curtains. Witnessing her dedication to recycling and her change in temper, her neighbors were deeply touched. Several joined her in recycling, and her husband also accompanied her to do volunteer work. This story shows that instead of asking others to change, we should first change ourselves and rehabilitate our minds. Then our surrounding environment will change as well. Once, an old lady suddenly felt dizzy while taking her morning walk. A Tzu Chi volunteer happened to pass by and immediately rendered assistance. The volunteer hailed a cab to send her home and paid the cab fare for her. The old lady asked for the volunteer's name. He just told her to remember Tzu Chi Recycling Center. We often say that a drop of kindness should be repaid with a flood of goodwill. This old lady wanted to return the favor, so she located the recycling center and tried to find the volunteer to return the cab fare and thank him. She discovered, however, that everyone at the recycling center was a Tzu Chi volunteer. The volunteer who helped her did not want to claim credit for his good deed, so he did not identify himself. In order to pay back the kindness, the old lady became a volunteer at that recycling center. Originally, she worked 2 or 3 hours a day, but the more she worked, the healthier she became, so she put in more and more hours. Eventually, she worked from morning until evening and went home only at dusk. Because of her illness, the old woman's filial children were worried. They could not bear to see her sort through piles of garbage for reusable materials. They disapproved of her doing recycling work. She asserted, however, that she did not want to be a patient. She would rather be a useful person and spend her days working. She emerged from her sickly life and brought out her inherent potential and ability. She was so busy working that she forgot about her illness and afflictions, and was able to live a happy and healthy life. This shows that the more leisure time one has, the more the complaints and distractions. I often see Tzu Chi volunteers give of themselves without any complaint or regret. Even when exhausted after a long day's work, they still insist that they are happy and grateful. Donating their labor and paying for their own expenses, they remain grateful and happy in their volunteering. This is joyful giving. If you ask why they volunteer, they reply, "We are happy and willing." To give without asking for any return, or to work willingly and accept the results joyfully, is indeed admirable.
Hello everyone, my name is Austin Chu and I'm from the United States. My favorite Jingsi aphorism is, repentance brings purity, vows brings blessings. This teaching from Master Ching Yen helps to remind me that no matter what has happened in the past, you can always, every day is a new day. There are two things that the greatest source of regret in life: doing things that should not be done, and not doing things that should be done. Of course, every day it may be difficult for us to be a 100% perfect human being, but no matter what, there's always another chance to try again in the morning. Now, this teaching also reminds us that repentance is not just about making a vow, it's not just about saying you're sorry and admitting your mistake, but it's actually about really making a change, changing yourself for the better. That is what true repentance is about, and that leads you to really take action. So I think it's a good reminder to always take active steps towards improving yourself. May wisdom and inspiration be with you always.
You are listening to The Power of the Heart on Da'ai Radio.
Our special guest today is Mr. Leslie Pierre. He was born and raised in Cap Haitian, Haiti. He just finishes almost 2 years learning Chinese in Tzu Chi Center for Language in Hualien, Taiwan. He majored in anthropology and sociology in school and taught in high school for about 4 years. Then he worked for an NGO doing charity work specializing in agriculture services in Haiti. Welcome to the program, Leslie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So, can you tell us how you meet Tzu Chi?
So, my story with Tzu Chi is very special because in January 2010 in Haiti, we had a very big earthquake. So at that time, a lot of people died and a lot of houses and buildings collapsed. And then that time, Tzu Chi people all around of the world and travel to Haiti and to help people. So and then I get closer just to understand what those people, what they are doing. And at that time I get so curious and to ask more and to ask what is the matter. And then at that time one of the Tzu Chi brother at that time helped me to understand what it is. He explained to me, and wherever there is a natural disaster, the Master Cheng Yen will call every single Tzu Chi volunteer all around of the world to join efforts in order to go to help those in need. And at that time I say, wow, it is a very good action and a very good mission, so why not? So at that time I started to do Tzu Chi, and since that day to now, you see all Tzu Chi people devote their time and their smile to give hope and joy for people. But also, when I ask those Tzu Chi volunteers all around of the world, wherever, New York and Argentina and Taiwan and Europe, they pay their own ticket from their own pocket and to travel just to help people. This is amazing. But the Tzu Chi people, they use their own money, their own pocket, because in Tzu Chi they collect money, but the money is used to be on kids, to support kids. This is also a very, very amazing thing in Tzu Chi Foundation, and this is the reason a lot of people, we Asian people, we believe in Tzu Chi, and we could see also there is a change and improvement also.
You use your time very well to do a lot of productive things and keep on learning and never really let go of every single second, even though it may seem very difficult for you to learn Chinese, but you still take on this challenge.
To talk about time, using our time, and a lot of people, they say, okay, well, probably I cannot like to help people and then for nothing or something like that. But actually, how they spend their time, you see them, probably they enjoy time and then probably enjoy eat and relax. But at that time, you can ask, what is this kind of life? But if you, for example, you see the Tzu Chi people sometimes, most of the time they come and to help people, but they made someone become much more better just because they use like probably 1 hour, because you can be a volunteer for the way you like as you go, 1 hour, 2 hours. So it is already some things very good you do for yourself, for your heart, and for another people.
Thank you for that strong recommendation to all the listeners out there to volunteer, because they will find it very good for their hearts.
You're welcome.
And for other people. Indeed, Master said that a wise man treats time like diamonds, because you use time to make good affinity, and these good affinity just keep on going and going and going and never stop.
but fool treat time like dirt. Like some of my friends, I remember they always find life very boring, so they often find ways to kill time. And it just sounds impossible to us right now because at City Volunteer we're so busy that we wanted to have more time, maybe 48 hours a day, to do all the things we can to help other people. And we cannot imagine why would someone wanted to kill time. So you see, they treat time like dirt, and then they just didn't know how to appreciate it. So always wanted to make the best use of our time all time, and that way we know that we are doing all we can to form good karma, and then to maximize the infinite possibility that we have our hand. Well, thank you very much, Leslie. Our time is up today. We'll be listening to this book, Life Economics, over the next several episodes. Please join us next time to continue our discussion on life economics. If you want to read this book we're talking about, you can find a copy of this book in any Jingsi bookstore and cafe. For more teaching from Dharma Master Cheng Yen, please tune in next time to our program. Goodbye and have a great day.
and the moon